Hello, everyone. I hope this is all working right. So this is going to be a new type of video, basically where I just wrap up everything that I've read for this week. This will be a little bit of a more casual discussion. I'm not really expecting a lot of people to watch these streams or anything, but I will be keeping them on the channel. So if you are wanting to watch them after the fact, you can do so. Apologies for the low quality and sort of my general setup. My computer is not the best for live streaming. I think we know this from the last time I live streamed. But I'm going to be talking about a couple things, whether that be manga and novels this time, but if I read light novels as well, and really anything else that you may be interested in. Feel free to comment in the chat. I will respond to them if they are, normal, fine. So this week I actually didn't read a whole lot, especially at the beginning of the week, just because I was working. I had a lot of work to do and a very strict deadline that I self-imposed. So I wanted to focus on that for the very beginning of the week, and I was able to hit my goal. I was really happy about that, but it did mean that I didn't read a huge amount at the very, very beginning of the week. The only thing I did read was about 40-ish chapters of Kugetsu Kaisen? Yes, that's the one that's getting an anime. I had already been reading the series. I read, I think, up to chapter 16 via Shonen Jump, just because that was before they had filled the gap between old chapter or the original. Hi, Erin. Thanks for popping in. But that was when they still had a gap, so I had stopped for a long time, and it also wasn't a series that initially caught my attention. Hi, Lita. Thanks for coming in. So I did read that. I'm about halfway through the available chapters, so around 65-ish. I don't remember. And I'm enjoying it. It's a pretty standard action shonen. I liked the main character. I will be reading Jump, and I just wanted something easy to read, like when I took a break from my normal work, or when I wanted to read something before bed. It was just really quick and easy to get it up on my tablet. But after I finished my work for the week, and on Wednesday, I was able to actually dive into some manga proper. So first I read some manga that I actually own and have been meaning to read, especially with my upcoming haul video for this month. So I decided to read volumes 1 and 2 of, oh my goodness, so much glare. Volumes 1 and 2 of Inuboku SS, which is by Koko Fujiwara. This is a 11-volume supernatural action G Fantasy. Is it G Fantasy? It feels like a G Fantasy series. No, Square Enix. It's a Square Enix series. And I was familiar with the series before I'd watched the anime. I liked it for what it was. I thought it was okay. I wasn't super thrilled with the romance between these two characters. If they would show up, I know that it's really bad. I'm sorry. But mainly because he's quite a bit older than her, and she's also kind of the lowly style of character design. But I will say that it's done fairly well. If you don't know anything about the series, it is about a boarding house sort of, well, actually it's a really big fancy apartment complex where the super uber wealthy live, and this girl is the newest resident, and each resident has a personal butler, someone to offer a specialized service, which is why there's SS for the Secret Service, and hers is this guy on the front, which you can't see because the picture quality doesn't want to focus on them very well. Oh. There we go. If they would just focus. Yes, that works. So I wanted to read this because it turns out that all of these characters are actually genetically related to yokai. They have sort of yokai powers, which I'm a big yokai fan. And I did like the series, the anime adaptation, at least for what it was. And I've heard it gets really like, it has a big plot twist in the middle of it. It kind of changes things up about halfway through. My friend based Jalaran, she loves the series, so I was keen to pick it up. It can't hurt to try it. It is also the only one of Fujiwara's manga we ever got in English, and very sadly, she has since passed away. So I wanted to get it because, as I said, it was interesting. I wanted to read her most popular title, and it's also, I think, going out of print, or it's getting harder to find a lot of these volumes. So I wanted to pick it up whilst I still could. So after those 2 volumes, I had some library manga that I wanted to read that I got from my local library. I have a couple different library manga here from different library systems because that's just how my life is led. But so the single volume that I got from my local library system was one of the quintessential quintuplets. I think most people know this series. It is a romantic comedy, I guess, love hexagon between a high school boy and 4 identical quintuplet sisters who he has been hired to tutor because his family's in a lot of debt. He can't really afford not to, and her family's very well off. They're all really, really close to failing out of school. Their grades are terrible, and so in order to help provide for his family, he takes on this job despite not really getting along with any of these girls. They all have very different personalities, all very distinct personalities, but it opens up with this hook, this glimpse into the future where he is preparing for his wedding day, in which he is very obviously marrying one of these 5 girls. We do not know which one it is. This series is finished, so I'm sure people know, and I don't, because I kind of stay away from spoilers of it. I wouldn't be surprised to guess, but I don't remember any of these girls' names at this point. But it was a solid first volume. It was great. I know that there's an anime adaptation of this. I'm looking forward to reading the 2nd volume of this. And yeah, it's pretty fun. The artwork is very nice. If it would actually show. Yep, there we go. And it's completed in 14 volumes. 14 volumes, I think. It's very popular, and I hear a lot of people say good things about it, and I will definitely pick up the 2nd and subsequent volumes from my library if given the chance, because I'm not really necessarily sure that I'd buy this one, but I have been enjoying reading it. So yes, that was my first library manga. And then, just to switch it up, I read a novel. Yeah, Tayuya, thank you for coming in. It was one that I also wasn't super necessarily invested in, but I heard a lot of good buzz. It does kind of have a couple of the tropiness things of what you would expect from a faux harem style, but at this point, at this first volume, it's strong. It's pretty innocuous. And if you already have it digitally, then you might as well give it a shot. I do think this was one that was included in one of the Humble Bundle sales. It's a Kodansha book, so that would make sense. But I did read a novel after those books. It was a library novel. It was one that I had been wanting to read for a while. So I have this thing where I want to, for every library book I read, I have to read a personal book or a book from my personal library, which you can see behind me, because I have too many of those back there that I haven't read yet, but also too many library books that I want to read that so I have to kind of balance it out. But this one was one that I borrowed from my library. I will be buying it at some point because I love this series, and I'm trying to get all of the books in the series, although it's slow going. So this is Going Postal. This is one of the later books in Terry Pratchett's Discworld. If you're not familiar with Discworld, it is a ever huge fantasy, like comedic satire. Really great series of books. And hi Aisha, thanks for popping in. But it's a fun series. I like it a lot. Pratchett's wit and biting satire. Really, really great. And it's an interesting like series in general because it has a couple different like character groups that particular books follow. So in this one, we follow Moist von Lipwig, who is a con man who has been given a second chance in order to like recreate himself, turn over a new leaf by the kind of guy in charge who runs the city. And he is put in charge of the postal system, which has been just terribly mishandled and not run whatsoever over the past 100 years. And it's obviously a satire and kind of a comedic history and reimagining of the postal service. That sounds maybe really boring, but I feel like if you've read Discworld, you know like what to expect. There's other character groups, as I said. So if you're not super interested in particular protagonist in some of the books and certain timelines, then you can actually just jump around. There's one that follows the City Watch, which are sort of the law enforcement of this particular fantasy world. There's also the Unseen University stuff, which is obviously that one kind of plays a little more with the fantasy tropes. It focuses on the like magical university and the wizards who inhabit that. But it's very like it's jokey about like male dominated spaces, academia, and also like the fantasy tropes of like, oh, wizards are so amazing and brilliant and so learned and whatever. It plays around a lot with that, and it's very funny. And then there's also one that focuses on witches, who are kind of a different group from wizards. And Death. There's a whole series of books focusing on Death himself, and they kind of overlap and intermingle. But it's a great series because you don't necessarily have to start with the first book to understand everything about it. But yeah, so this is like book, I don't know, 30 of the 41 of these that Pratchett put out before his death. And it's great. It's fun, it's funny, and if you like fantasy, then I would recommend it. So okay, no more novels. I know people aren't necessarily interested in that. Especially when it's like a part of a series rather than a first book. But so after that, well, actually, no, I should probably get these out of the way. So today I took a break. Like I had a couple days where I didn't read anything because I don't know, I needed to refresh my brain. I think working so much for the first couple days and then just reading a lot on Wednesday. And I needed like Thursday, Friday off. So today, Saturday, I read more manga. The first being some more library stuff, some pretty kind of, again, both continuations. So I read volumes 11 to 15 of, and you can't see, Slam Dunk. So, oh my goodness. Let's see. So these are a lot of them are the Changyi releases. So perhaps different covers than what you're used to. This is a Viz release. You can tell because it looks like that on the spine. And whereas Changyi, which is sort of the local show, that's what they look like on the spine. Um, but so this is a sports manga about basketball. Xiangyi releases are the Asian/Singaporean releases. They're a little bit spottier, like translation wise and lettering wise, comparatively to the Viz volumes. And I think for me, because my library has a majority of these sorts of volumes, it took me a while to get into it. I don't know whether it was because of translation choices or what, but it started a little bit slow for me. It wasn't until volume 6 that I felt it really hooked me in and captured my attention. And so now I'm enjoying it. I'm at obviously I just finished 15, so I'm approximately halfway through. This is a 31 volume series. You can see, like, okay, yeah, when I'm talking about lettering, like, this is, if it would show you, it has, oh my goodness, you look at that font and like the two different fonts of how it's just very clumsily done. It feels like almost like a scanlation. That's cruel to say to the poor Singaporean team who put these together, but it's not the same kind of release as a Viz book where it seems a little bit more put together, a lot more font variation. It feels a bit more like a professional publication. But yeah, so this is a series that it took a little while for me to get to. It's one that I knew I didn't want to buy because it is long. It's very well regarded, but personally, basketball isn't like my most favorite sport. I read plenty of sports manga and watch plenty of sports anime about sports that I know nothing about, but basketball has always been one that's kind of been, I don't know. Maybe it's because I have such a bad background with netball. That might be the case. That's really exciting, Rin, that you're getting a re-release. I would actually be interested in picking up Skippy Slam Dunk if we were getting the Kanzenban editions in English, because the series has recently been re-released. Is it like 10 or something? So like fewer amounts of volumes, like 15, 17, I don't know, with nice new cover art and all that, whatever that they normally do with Kanzenban editions. And I would probably be tempted to pick it up if we were getting a new one. I wouldn't be surprised if Viz did that, because it seems to be a pretty popular series in general. I think like this volume, I know that my library just bought it for me because I requested it, because they were missing this one, which is why this one's a Viz title rather than the Xiangyi one. But I mean, this is third printing, so maybe it doesn't sell as well as I expected. But I don't know. It's fun. I really warmed to our main character. Yeah, Sakuragi. I had to check. I'm really bad with names. If I haven't been reading it for a while, I say that I literally read it today, but I'm not great with a lot of names. But oh my goodness. But yeah, so this is a sports manga. I'm sure most people know what Slam Dunk is about, but this is a sports manga about a kind of a delinquent who is constantly being rejected by all of these girls throughout his entire life. And when he gets to high school, he meets this really beautiful, pretty girl, and she invites him to join the basketball team, and he's like, sure, I'll do that, because he's just again fallen like immediately in love with her. He wants to impress her, and he gets involved with the basketball team. He's tall, he seems to be a natural talent, he seems to really get it right away, but at the same time, it's pretty obvious that he's a beginner. He doesn't know any of the rules. I don't think he's even seen basketball. Does he know what basketball is? I can't remember. Like, it seems pretty ridiculous. Like, he doesn't even know what it is. But so he's he's one of those guys who he thinks he's a hotshot and he thinks he's amazing, and so he wants to be like the most brilliant basketball player on this team to impress this girl. And then he also, one of the other kids on the team, he's like actually a really, really good basketball player. And Rukawa, who's like the rival character in the series, and the girl that our main character likes is childhood friends or middle school friends with this rival character, and she also like has a crush on him. So she's interested in this other guy, and our protagonist knows this, so he gets really jealous. And so there's like an immediate rivalry, not just between the feelings for this girl, because Rukawa really couldn't give to, like, he doesn't really give a damn about this girl, but they're also with the sort of interest they have with basketball and being the star, being the breakout rookie of the team. But yeah, so volume 6 was when they sort of introduced more characters and kind of really brought the team together. These volumes 11 to 15, we have the ending of their first official match, I think. Yes. And then they win the big thing, which qualifies them for the Interhigh. And so that is the first, the majority of these volumes were the first match of the Interhigh tournament, whatever it's called, which is pretty good. It was a heart-thudding or exciting game. If you like Haikyuu, I think you'll like this one a lot. There's a lot of similarities. Obviously, this one is older, so it's unsurprising that a lot of sports series took a lot of beats, notes, tropes, whatever, setups, premises from other popular earlier sports manga like Slam Dunk. Also has an anime. I don't think it was ever licensed in its entirety. But yeah, it's fun. I'm definitely going to get the next 5 volumes from my library, especially because the ones that I was requesting are finally back in. So I can return these now and get the next 5. So I'll probably be talking about more maybe not next time, but soonish. And then, so I read those sort of earlier in the day. And then I had some errands to run, and I was informed that there was a secondhand book sale going on in my area-ish, like probably 20 minutes away. So, and I always go to this particular, it's a Save the Children Foundation. They always hold this, I think, quarterly big book sale. And so I always go check out things. I'm pretty strict though. I try to only buy particular authors or books that I've been wanting, whether that's to replace a copy that I lost or I just never bought. I read it through the library and just never got around to buying my own copy, or it's an author that I already know that I like. But so I went, and so I haven't read these, but I did buy them, and I technically have read them, so I don't know when I'm going to be rereading them. The first one is the complete illustrated works, Stories, Plays, and Poems by Oscar Wilde. I love Oscar Wilde. Like, maybe that's nerdy. Maybe that's my lit background coming out. But this contains pretty much everything, including the picture of Dorian Gray. Has all of his poems, all of his plays, and it is illustrated, which is pretty interesting. Despite enjoying Wilde so much, I didn't actually own any. Well, no, I owned a couple of his plays, but those were from high school, and they were not necessarily in good condition because it has been a long time since I've been in high school. I'm trying to find an illustration just to show you. It's not anything brilliant, but they're nice. So yeah, this is pretty lame lit student type of stuff, but that's what I enjoy. But yeah, I've been meaning to get an Oscar Wilde collection for a while, so I was happy that I was able to get that. If my screen would stop going out of focus. The other book that I got was one that I was actually looking for, not necessarily this edition, but this is Bill Bryson's The Lost Continent, and Neither Here Nor There. This is a 2-in-1 print of 2 of his novels, 2 of his travelogues. Oh my gosh, why are you? There we go. The Lost Continent is about traveling throughout the United States, which is where he's from, although he spent a majority of his adult life in the UK. And then Neither Here Nor There is him traveling around Europe. I love Bill Bryson. He's hilarious. Definitely my favorite nonfiction travelogue writer. Again, kind of boring. Maybe nobody's interested, but I've been slowly replacing my paperback copies of his books with the hardbacks, and that's why I picked this one up. So yeah, again, probably no one's interested, but I'm thoroughness. Finally, I only have one more thing to talk about. I have more manga, so if you survived the novels, thank you. I appreciate it. These are some more volumes of a continuing series that I've been reading, again, through my library. Volumes 4, 5, and 6 of, if it would show up, Ao Haru Ride. So this is a teen melodrama romance by Io Sakisaka. I always mix up her name. It's the Thank you, Aisha. Hi, Bizarre. Thanks for popping in. I really appreciate it. But yeah, so this is a high school romance about a couple. Oh my gosh, if it would stay focused. Thank you. So a girl called Futaba and a boy named Ko, who, I didn't even realize these covers are made to match. Again, if they would actually show up on screen. Look, they're made to match. I didn't even realize that. But it's the story of these 2 high school, I think they're second years, who knew each other in junior high, and they both had a crush on each other, but it never worked out because he kind of disappeared. He asked her out to this festival, and then he just like never showed up, and she never saw him again. She found out he moved like pretty immediately, because she later finds out his parents had a divorce, so he left with his mom to wherever she's from, like her hometown or a new city or whatever. And he left with his mother in the divorce. And since then, his mother, well, we learn in these volumes that his mother died because. So when our main character, Futaba, re-meets this boy in high school, she's like, "Oh, it." Yes, Bizarre, this is going to be a regular thing. Hopefully, if people seem to like this one. So yes, it should be the same time as well. So she reunites with this boy who she liked, and she's kind of like she hopes to reconnect with him because she still kind of likes him. He was her first love, and she knew that like he also liked her. So when they meet, well, actually she had her heart broken by that, obviously, because he just never showed up and he never gave an explanation for why. So she tries to act boyish, or something happened, bullying maybe. Something's happened where she doesn't get along. She avoids boys because girls have been jealous about her being close with boys in the past, and so she didn't have any friends. So she's trying to avoid that, and by doing that, she acts like really boyish, like not feminine, which is like, she eats food and she, doesn't walk with the grace of 1,000 swans or whatever, all the gross sexist bullshit of like how a girl should act. But yeah, so she reconnects with this boy. he's like, you've changed. She's like, you've also changed, because he used to be like a sweet, soft little, you know, young guy who was very genuine and whatever. And now he's kind of a surly, like, not emotionless, but he just doesn't, he's disinterested. He's not really wanting to talk to her, you know, reunite or rekindle their friendship or anything. And again, we learn in these books it's because his mother passed away when he was when he was very focused on himself. He didn't notice her failing health, and so he puts a lot of the pressure on himself that, like, it's his fault, he didn't notice, and he didn't have a support system, and so now he acts this way because he wants to protect himself from being hurt. Since his mother's died, he's moved back in with his dad and his older brother, who is also coincidentally the home teacher of these kids. So he's quite a bit older. He's probably 10 years older or whatever. Rin, yes. So that's the other thing that was introduced in these volumes. We got the first male love interest rival character. Toya, is that his name? I don't know. He's on the back of one of these. There, that's helpful. And I would agree that he's probably a lot more interesting and a lot more communicative than our main male character, Ko. Like, I understand he's got a tragic life and sad things have happened, and he's trauma, and now he's trying to protect himself. And also she, like, Futaba is always worrying about if she I don't know. These Iwasaki Saka, I don't dislike her works, but they're definitely like library loan books rather than buy and have and keep in my collection, because there's only so much teenage melodrama and miscommunication and non-communication that I can handle in my life, and this is full of that. Like, if you're looking for a more quote-unquote typical high school romance series, then yeah, pick it up. It's good. It's definitely, like, it's well done. It has impact. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of interesting characters and character kind of conflicts, but you're just not going to change your life. I don't think so. And I will say that our in agreement with Rin, who said that she usually likes the male rival better than the main character, is, yeah, I like Toya a lot more because he's just really sweet and genuine. Although, I don't know. It's kind of like, it is also obvious currently he's trying to, like, wedge himself, because he knows that the relationship between our main characters not going well. They don't communicate. They just, and Ko's trying to help a friend who's going through the same thing he went through, who also happens to be a girl, who also had feelings for him, and then and then Futaba's, like, constantly jealous. They're both jealous, but then they don't want to be like clear about their feelings, and then they almost kissed, and then they accidentally kissed, and then they actually kissed, but then there's an argument, and oh my god. And so our main male rival love interest is like, oh, I like this girl, and it's obvious that her relationship with the guy that she likes, he doesn't, I don't know, it's framed as he doesn't put himself first. He's very self-sacrificing, so he ignores his feelings for the girl that he likes, which is our protagonist, in order to help this other girl, because he doesn't want to leave her alone, and he's just like, he always wants to help people and, like, fix people and whatever. Thanks, Bizarre. Thanks for popping in. I really appreciate you stopping by. But yeah, so he's kind of our main rival character. he recognizes this, and I'm like, they absolutely, like, I don't, this is not necessarily a relationship I want to work out. But then it's also, he's angling himself in her emotional vulnerability to be like, I wish that she would pay attention to me, and he's trying to like wedge himself in, which, I mean, hey, that that happens a lot, especially with teens. Oh, the rebounds. I don't know how seriously the love interest thing will be taken. Not in the story overall, but I don't know how much Futaba would actually see him as like a genuine option versus Ko. But yeah, I mean it's good. It's one of those like it's one of those teen melodramas. It's the same sort of thing, like you watch something in this genre on Netflix and you're like, that was fun and like an easy hour and a half. Great. I read it. I watched it. Yeah, and I think that's kind of my general consensus with Io Sakisaka. I don't dislike her. I think her art's very lovely. She's obviously very popular. We have multiple of her series in English. They're just not really my favorite type of shoujo manga, and so thus I do not buy it. But I'm happy to borrow it from my library. And yeah. So that's everything that I read for this week. Slash bought. Read and or bought. It may be a lot. I don't know how much people normally read, but it's kind of less than what I normally read. So yeah. I don't know. It's less than what I normally read, but again, that's mainly due to other more pressing circumstances, higher priorities in my life. This coming week, I'll be reading the rest. Like, I have another 3 volumes. Yeah, I have up until volume 9 of this, so I'll be reading that one next. I have the next 5 of Slam Dunk to pick up. Obviously, I hope to read more of Unuboku SS, because I do kind of want to. I'm not going to be able to, but I do kind of want to read more than, well, all of it, but I do want to read more than half of it before I get to my whole video, so I can actually talk about it there then. And yeah, I mean, I have a couple, well, I say a couple, I have a lot of new releases that I haven't read yet, because this whole month has just been work and stress, and so they've piled up. I did read the debuts, so I will have something to say about that, but the ongoing stuff has just been kind of lower priorities. So I will probably be talking about a lot of that stuff next week, this time. But yeah, so that's everything. Thank you guys for popping in. If you have any burning questions, please let me know, and I will be happy to answer them. And yes, I agree, Rin. Who said her series are good, but they don't really stand out from the shoujo, for other shoujo in the same genre. I agree. Yeah, totally. It's something that there's a lot of, I mean, I don't want to get into an argument, but there is a particular type of shoujo currently available in the market and has always been available in the market, because let's face it, a majority of manga readers are teenagers, and so they like to, both in Japan and outside of Japan, so they like to read relatable stories set in their bubble of existence and, latch onto those characters. And as a young woman in her mid to late 20s, I'm not that interested in high school romance anymore. I do read a lot of it, and I do love a lot of it, but not really that this particular series or her other series. So yes. But yeah, so if anyone has any questions, I'll wait for a little while. But otherwise, I'm going to give it probably 2 minutes and log before I end the stream, if there is nothing else anybody wants to say. So yeah, I hope everyone's been having a good start of their weekend. It's sort of the middle of the weekend for me because it is a Saturday night. I did want to choose this time frame. I know it's maybe a little bit early for some folks in the US, but I think overall it's a pretty okay time spread for people, because I know a lot of my subscribers and people who are perhaps interested in this are in the US in time zones, or Europe, or time zones that are not my time zone. So yeah, I did try to make it. It's not super duper late where I am, which is okay. It's only 10:40. So that worked out. It's only yeah, I think if there's no more questions, I'm gonna end it at 10:45. I think 45 minutes is probably a good number. I don't want these to be hour and a half long videos. I already have too many of those on my channel, and I know you guys really like those, or at least you lie and tell me that you do. And I do really appreciate everyone who watches those videos, but I know it is, it's a commitment. It's a time commitment, and I know not everybody has the time to spend doing all of that. So K and K Love 1. Oh, is it same time for you? I guess you must be in the Greenwich Mean Time plus 8 hours. Oh my goodness! I have 3 people who are, well, including myself. That 3. Why did I include myself? There are 3 of us in the same time zone. That's surprising. I didn't expect that. But yeah, I will be keeping the stream on the channel. I'm not going to delete them or anything, because I am hoping that this becomes a regular thing, and I do want to have a more casual discussion and a more interactive discussion about manga that I'm reading. Let me know if, you guys have been saying throughout this whole series or this whole video about whether you've been watching them, and I think it's really refreshing to get the real-time feedback. Yeah, apologies also for, I know the camera quality isn't brilliant. I said it at the beginning of the video, but I don't think anyone was watching. But my equipment is not brilliant. My computer in general is not really built for live streaming, so I hope that I can improve over time, so that these were better. But I also didn't want to put the effort into making like edited videos. I'm so lazy for this channel. You guys are so kind to me, considering I'm so lazy. But yeah, so if you have any improvements, or also if you want to request a title or recommend a title, or because I do also like reread stuff on occasion. Last week, like, if I was kind of planning on doing this last week as well, but then I was like, the only thing I read last week was Nabar no, and then I'm gonna be talking about that in the podcast, which I did quite extensively. That also, if people aren't aware, the most recent episode of Read Right to Left has been posted both here and on basically every podcasting platform. That volume 15, it's our first creator spotlight. If you haven't checked out our podcast, I co-host it with my very good friend Ray from Whimsical Pictures, who is brilliant, lovely. Definitely go subscribe to her. But you can find, I'm sure people notice whenever I post the podcast, because it's on this channel and it's once a month, and this is the 15th one, so it's been over a year. But if you like manga, we do try to go into a lot of series that we love, a lot of creators that we love, a lot of genres or topics that we love, and we try to focus it on manga and manga creators and specific titles and genres, versus like the manga community. Not to be, I don't know, there previously, before we were doing this, a majority of the manga podcasts that I was exposed to within the community seemed to be focused on like MangaTube creators and the community on YouTube and stuff, rather than manga itself, and the process of being a collector and collecting and finding sales and whatever else, which is great. That's wonderful, but that's not like the stuff that I personally would wanted to listen to. And Ray and I kind of had the same idea. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out. But I'm sure plenty of you already listened to it, which again, we are really appreciative of. And this most recent episode is actually, there's a couple, we have some audio quality issues. It can be a little bit hit or miss sometimes, and this one does have some issues. But I will say that as for the actual discussion topics, then this was our favorite one. This is our favorite one that we put together. So if you were wanting to check out one of the episodes, or if you're interested in Yuki Kamitani, who is the creator that we spotlighted, then check out that one. It's Emma Brown. Thank you. If you are wanting to check the podcast out, it is literally the video before this one. It's called Read Right to Left. You can also find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or iTunes, wherever you get podcasts, basically. And I think they're good. I mean, I may be a little bit biased, but I think they're good. Oh, thank you, Breezeview. I really appreciate that. Ray also really appreciates that. I know that sometimes, because obviously it's on my channel and I'm the one who tweets out about it and stuff, that Ray can, maybe people don't necessarily know her thoughts or that necessarily, but she is really appreciative. And we love doing it, and we love talking to each other and talking to you guys. So yeah, thank you as well for all the support for that. But I hope that you enjoyed it, or if you try it, Emma and K&K Love 1, it's, yeah. Okay, well, if there's also no questions, I think I'm going to wrap it up. I've got some stuff to do tomorrow. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day, whether that be Saturday or Sunday for tomorrow. Then, yeah, thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. And I hope this works. I hope people like it. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.